Welcome to the Hacking Your Health podcast with Ben Canning and Dave Kennedy. Two guys heading out to hack body, mind, business, and beyond. We are here to provide a single source, bullshit-free guide to understanding your body and how you can live better for longer.
Dave from the Hacking Your Health podcast. Just want to say, if you enjoy what we're doing here, what you're listening to, please share us. We're all over Instagram, Discord, Facebook, Twitter, you name it. Check us out at HTTPS wehack.health, as well as our Discord server, which is discord.gg/wehackhealth. Pretty much everything is WeHackHealth. But thanks again for all the support, all of the stories that you're sharing. Share your successes, your struggles. That's what this community is here is for. That's why we do this podcast, and your energy supports us. So thank you so much, and hope you enjoy the podcast.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back.
What's up?
What's up? I'm Ben Canning.
And I'm Dave Kennedy.
Your screen's just going crazy.
I definitely just lost my camera. There it is.
That's all right. We're back.
Yeah,
and this is Hacking Your Health podcast, I think.
Yes.
It is.
By the way, that was up is no lie what we wake ourselves up to in the morning. Whenever we talk to each other, it's just a voice message going, "What's up?"
Yeah. So welcome to the Ben and Dave show. What's up,
dude? Hey, things are great. I finally got my gym lighting done, which has been like a month process of like making sure the lights are perfect. And the funny thing is, like, obviously when all the lights are on, you really can't see all of the lights, which makes it
doesn't matter.
Cool,
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter though. They're there and it looks badass. So I'm going to do some videos and some posts in it soon, but really happy with how the lights turned out. I was also working on my DeLorean yesterday with my dad, and funny story about this. Like, the last thing, we have like two things that are like major projects left. One was, there was this, light off in the door, which drove me nuts, which is, you'd be like, oh, light on the door, not a big deal. But like when you open the door, you see it every time. You're like, damn it. So we had to tear apart the entire door panel. And this is a 1982 car. It's a 40-year-old car, right? And so they did not make things easy at all. And there's this like metal shear piece that I put my hand in to get like the door thing, and it like sliced my finger open. So I have like all of these like scars and like cuts all over my hands right now. I obviously broke my finger here. Like my hands are a mess at the moment. And I was doing deadlifts yesterday, and I had to use straps for it because my pinky definitely makes an impact.
Wait, hold on.
I'm literally doing the straps with my pinky out as I'm doing it. So it's like, But the funny story about it is, we get this thing, the whole door panel taken care of, fixed, the lights fixed, it's working beautifully. My dad is helping me with this because he's really good at cars, and I'm just learning. So we're like, we shut the door, my dad's inside of it, and my dad makes a funny joke of like, what happens if the door handle doesn't work? And no bullshit, the door handle didn't work, and he couldn't get out of the car. So like and you can't rip the panel off without the door open, so we had no way of getting him out of the car. Luckily, after like 35 minutes of my dad being trapped in the car, we figured out that there's like a rod that we could like basically pull up that opened the door. So something got jostled in there. We didn't finish the whole thing, but my dad was locked in my car for a few weeks. So
I don't know if I told you this. So obviously DeLoreans are made over here. So my granddad's brother, so I guess that's my great uncle, I think, used to work in the DeLorean factory.
That's so cool. Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, I knew it was made in Ireland, and a lot of the parts and pieces and things like that, the engines, it's amazing how that all kind of came assembled into the States.
Yeah,
cool car. It just obviously was not made very well. No offense to that built in Ireland, but like it was not a well designed car. So
no, I can't imagine it was. Aside from that, I think we have a big thing that we need to talk about.
What's that?
Well, I mean, I have a couple of big things, but there's one thing that specifically about you that you have discovered today.
Oh yes, I actually have a 6-pack now. And that's the first time in my life. I was taking the photos. I'm like, I think that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-ish. So I was like, damn, that's a 6-pack. I have a 6-pack. Holy shit! So I was pretty blown away today. And what's interesting is we really haven't been trying to stay lean. We've actually trying to we're in a slight surplus, and I'm just at a weird spot where I feel like I can just eat everything and anything, and I'm dropping weight. I can't figure it out. So I know it's a good problem to have, but I feel like my metabolism has just like, I feel like my body finally said, listen, dude, I'm going to stop fighting you on this. Like, we'll just start shedding body fat and building muscle because you're awesome and I trust you. So, we can just eat whatever you want to. But, it's like I'm at, 3,000 calories, obviously, and I'm dropping pounds, as I'm going along. But I also think, I'm much more active. It's the summertime here, starting to get a little more nicer out. So, I'm sure I'm moving around more and doing things differently, which obviously increases my total daily energy expenditure plus, muscle mass and everything else. So, but yeah, I was really impressed to see an actual six pack because first of all, I thought, based on being so heavy before and with the extra skin that wouldn't never be possible. But, obviously you can continue to grow those muscles out, kind of stretch the skin a little bit more, skin's, somewhat regresses a little bit and gets a little bit less elastic as it goes along. So it's been really cool to see the transformation there. And, it's interesting because I was, doing some comparisons and it's really a big change from even 6 months ago when, we were kind of doing the bulking phase, of this and, just to be able to strip that off and do it relatively easy. I mean, it's not, listen, I'm not starving myself. I'm eating a lot of food. I'm, healthy. I feel good. I'm not, always think I'm not even on an FN deficit, and, it's working really well. So it's an interesting time that I'm at right now that, it's taking me such a long time to get to. But has me so excited because I really do feel like I control my destiny in this fitness journey, right? Like there's no more doubt. There's no doubt in my mind. There's no doubt that I, at a flip of a switch, can drop, whatever weight I need to. At a flip of a switch, I can go and gain weight that I need to. At a flip of a switch, I can maybe do a deload, or what I need to do. But I can.
That one's still touch and go.
I still touch and go on that one. I haven't fully gotten confidence in that one. And I did do a quasi 2-day deload, which I felt like was good enough. It's one of those things where I really feel control of myself, my body, and I feel like my mind, I'm obviously focusing on continuously training my mind, to be better, but I feel like my mind has full control over my hunger. I mean, like it's crazy. Cause like the other day, normally when I'm bored, I'm not, and then you just kind of go to the fridge and, check what's out in the fridge and go and grab stuff. I don't do that. I'm like, I don't need food right now. I got my protein. I got my stuff. I already ate. Like I'm good. But if I'm hungry, I'm like, yeah, my body's telling me to go and eat. I'm going to go eat. Right. So just a difference in philosophy in my mind that, it's taken a long time to get there, but it's just an incredible journey. But yeah, six pack, baby. Yeah.
So 2 points. Number one, this is what we work towards. Do you know what I mean? Like spending the time to get your body to a place that it can sort of process and handle as much food as you throw at it, essentially. Like you said, it's a good problem to have, and it's a new part of the journey. I think, I've thought about this before, and I guess open for conversation. I want to understand your thought process behind why six packs are so attractive. And I don't mean attractive as in like aesthetically attractive, but like why there is the desire to get one, like why people want them. I have my own thoughts, but I think interested to hear yours.
So it's interesting. My view of a six pack is different now than when I first started, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So when you look at, Arnold, or you look at, physique of individuals that are extremely lean in general, first of all, everybody has different body types. My body type's different from yours. You have been relatively, you've been pretty much skinny your entire life, whereas I have been more on the overweight side. So bigger builds, different builds, how we process food, our mannerisms, how we twitch, so everybody has different physiques. In my mind, I think I had a unrealistic expectation of what I wanted my physique to be because I was looking at different body types. Someone that was probably like 5'4", can build, a substantial amount of muscle and was already lean, their entire life and was just massive shredded, body. But at the same time, as you start to get through this, you realize that most of those folks that are that shredded and that lean are not happy. They're like on extreme deficits. They talk about it all the time. It's like the most miserable thing that they go through. Like their whole perspective is around that physique. Right. And to get to that is not something that I ever wanted to do, but I wanted those results, if that makes sense. Because, I looked at a six pack of like, oh, you go on the beach and you see somebody with a six pack, that dude's jacked. Right. That's your perspective. But I lost that. I didn't really care about, what was interesting is our main benchmark of what we look at when we're bulking or cutting is visibility of abs, right? Because, for men specifically, we carry most of our body fat in our stomach. So, that's the first, and it's not universal across the board. Again, different body types, but most men carry, on the love handles in the back and then in the front in your stomach area. And, my son will ask me this, he had packed on a little bit of pounds and has since, been taking it off. But, he's like, Dad, how do you get that, that 6-pack of abs? He's like, what workout can I do, or what exercise can I do to get those 6-pack? And I said, it's eating less, buddy. You eat less. That's what you do. You continue to work out and you eat less, build more muscle and you eat less. Those are the recipes for success. Doesn't matter about the movements. Yes, you can make the size of your abs a little bit bigger or whatever, but at the end of the day, you have to, strip off a little bit of that body fat there. And I think my expectations were very different. I think why it's an accomplishment for me today. One, it's new to me. I've never seen it before, which is I'm like, hey, where do you guys come from? That's pretty cool. Just like when you
we've been here the whole time.
I've been here the whole time, just hiding. It's kind of like mother. No, never mind. But it's like when you get a new vein, in like your shoulder or something like that. You're like, oh my god, that's a new vein that I haven't seen before. Boy just sent me a message the other day. He's like, dude, I got a bicep vein. I'm like, dude, I'm so happy for you. I remember that day when I got a bicep vein. Like, this is the best day ever. It's like one of those times, right?
Yeah.
You're exploring new things about your body from an accomplishment. But I think what's different for me today and why, a 6-pack is interesting is because I was able to do it without feeling like shit. I was able to do it without, sacrificing quality of life. I was able to do it through very slow changes throughout the years to get to this specific point in time. Right. And it's an accomplishment, right? It's like anything else. It's when I am able to cut from, 248 or 249 down to 222. It's when I'm able to, PR and get something new. But it's kind of a milestone for me because I have always been overweight my entire life. My entire life I have been overweight. And there is not a chance in hell that any time in my life, a younger Dave would have thought that it was possible to get a 6-pack, right? And so for me, it's an accomplishment of life and the journey that I've been on here to say, I did it, But now it's time to say, where the fuck am I going next? How do I get bigger? How do I get better abs? How do I get bigger shoulders? How do I get a bigger back? How do I get bigger traps? How do I get bigger quads? I'm in. Let's do this. All right.
I feel like we have all known that you've been in for a while. We knew that.
Yeah,
we knew that. I think
definitely all in.
Definitely all
What's
in.
next?
Yeah. I think the thing for me is it's almost what it represents. That there has had to have been some sacrifice, whether it's time or nutrition or whatever it is. Something has had to be sacrificed to put the work in to get that. It's the dedication that it takes. Do you mean it's not like it takes work to do that? And I think it's the work that it represents is, to me, what makes it attractive. It's not that I look at a 6-pack and go, fucking, that's a beautiful 6-pack. It's the attractiveness in terms of like the work and the dedication and the sacrifice that it takes to get there.
Yeah, that's it. I want to, well, first of all, before we get into, we can do it. But first of all, before we get into the topic of today, which is looking at past, present,
Dave 6-pack.
And Dave 6-pack, because we're just going to actually just post a picture of my 6-pack and that's it. We're just going to leave. And we're going to have it run for an hour, 24 hours, actually. That's even better. But before we get into what it took to get here, because I think it's important to reflect. So today's podcast is on reflection and appreciation, right? Which is, there was many sacrifices that had to be made in the past to get to where it is today. And that's true of anything. I was reflecting on this when I did a social media post, and I looked back at younger Dave, overweight Dave, obese Dave, and I love that dude, man. That dude's amazing, right? That dude is the reason why I'm here today, and it's me. It's the same person, but and younger Dave went and quit a perfectly good job, as a VP and youngest VP in Diebold history as a chief security officer to go start a company in the basement of his house that is now a multinational organization with folks all over the world. I wouldn't have done that today. I wouldn't have done it today because risk wise, I was like, I wouldn't just go up and quit. Now, obviously different circumstances, but that dude was a badass, but to get to that mind switch, and I see it happen, which is great. I love watching the channel in Discord because you can see the mind switch of people that are just hitting that journey. And that's so exciting for me because I know when I hit that part, it was definitely not a cakewalk, but my mind finally stopped fighting me in every way, and it just opened up everything else, right? So before we get into that, dude, how are you doing?
Really good. I spent the past, I guess, 3 days putting the bits and pieces together for the Colorado event, which I'm really fucking excited for. I'm excited for it at a number of different levels. Number one, to see everybody. Number two, there will be a lot of new faces there. Number three, there will be a lot of familiar faces there. And it's just going to be a really cool event. I took a lot of inspiration, let's say, from how the Jocko event was run. And a couple of things just putting together, and a lot of like in the details type stuff that potentially not everybody will notice, but it'll satisfy me knowing that is done. Aside from that, it's good. I had a call with James yesterday to sort of map out what's going on with my training. So we're going to change direction. We're going to move into a cut.
Is it legs day every day?
No, fuck that. Actually, I haven't got my plan yet, but in terms of like the direction of what we're trying to achieve, so we've got about 3.5 weeks until we go to Colorado. So between now and then, it's just a case of like slight deficit. And then off the back of that, it'll be pushed slightly harder in a deficit to get relatively lean, not like photo shoot shape, but relatively lean for midway through summer, with the idea of being in Vegas and being comfortable to have a six-pack beside you, essentially. So yeah, it's good to have the direction on that. And the last thing that I wanted to bring up is just how everybody's doing in terms of clients. I've signed up quite a number of people recently. It's good to sort of see new faces. It's good to see how everybody is welcoming and how the community is growing, to see it like in the private Discord channel, to see it in the wider Discord channel, and also to see it on social media. And I've made the decision, I think I said this to you last week, that I'm going to close the virtual doors of onboarding new clients from the couple of days before we go to Colorado, so like mid-May, to just focus on some other stuff, managing the clients that I already have and sort of rebuilding things in the back end. So I enjoy doing this sometimes to just sort of like manage everybody that we've got going on, and spend some time focusing on other stuff and other events and bringing new shit in, and I guess breaking things and fixing them again. So it's good. I like this.
You're saying you're a hacker?
Yes, I am. Essentially, I am a hacker. And the last thing that I'll say on that is I had a call with a client who was in the first We Hack Health group, which seems like an eternity ago. I had a call with her again today. She messaged me the other day. She's like, I want to come back. You know, I did the thing that I needed to do with the other coach, and we focused on running and fixed that. And I want to come back and have the structure. And I'm like, look, things have changed. And she came back on, she sent me an email after, and she's like, holy shit, you have been grinding away in the background. I'm so excited to get started again. And that to me was like the small things, I guess exactly the same as what you said. The small things that I've been doing over time have sort of gradually been built into something. So it was good to sort of have that reaffirmed that the work is doing what it needs to do. So yeah, long story short, I'm good. I have a good direction with training. I'm excited for the Colorado event. We're closing the doors of coaching on the 18th of May. So if anybody wants to get in before that, please feel free to do so. But after that, I'm not sure when they will open again. And then we have the summer to plan out some cool shit later on in the year.
Dude, I'm so excited for Colorado, but I'm also excited about just kind of everything you have going on. Both, you know, we're in the process of kind of revamping the podcast. I won't give too many details in place, but there's some exciting things coming out for that, which I'm really, really happy on. I've been noodling on a couple things that I'm going to share with you soon.
So like you're doing things that I don't even know about?
I'm doing things that you don't even know about. Yeah, it's
Damn.
super secret. I can't even tell you.
Secret squirrel.
But I'm excited about it. Now, if it sucks, you know, just don't let me know. But you know, there's a lot of things that are happening, you know, obviously between the two of us in our personal lives, but also just to see kind of how this movement continues to happen. I really do feel like this is a movement, right? You know, we are impacting people, not just in the security industry, but in their businesses, their lives and everything else. And you know, at the end of the day, what's better than that? So excited for where you're at, dude, man. It's awesome.
I think you know, I had a call last night.
We've all, by the way, we should, you know, if you look at past, present, and future, I mean, look at how much you've grown just in the past 3 years that I've known you, right?
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. And I think that the thing about it is, like, I know that you're the same as me in that sense. Like, you don't often stop to reflect on these things. You know, you don't often take stock of what's actually going on. You just, like, even like you said there with the six packs, like, right, what's next? It's like, just spend some time looking around and recognizing how far you've come. But I had a call just on the note that you were saying. I had a call last night with a guy. We were talking about some social media stuff, and he was like, he basically asked me why. And I know that you and I have joked about this before, and I've definitely said this before. But I think, given, like you said, the movement, given what we're doing here with the podcast, with the community, with the social media stuff, with the influence that you have on the industry, with everything that's going on, like I think we have found ourselves in a position that we genuinely have the power and the ability to help an entire industry, if not beyond. And for me, if we think about the why, connected to the why as to why we do things, why we train, why we work, why we do whatever, that sense of why for me, it's almost like a sense of responsibility that I have to so many people now to be able to provide them with the tools to live a better, healthier, longer life. And it was, again, just a point of reflection when I came off that call last night. Like it just, I guess it just caught me at a funny moment. Whenever he asked me like why was the time to sort of start pushing things on social media or whatever it was. It was a good point of reflection on that as well last night. So yes, I'm excited for everything. Even I'm excited for the stuff that I don't know that you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait to see you soon. This would be great. So that's going to be awesome. Get to hang out and stuff. But
I'll get to be in the DeLorean. You're going to lock me in it for 35 minutes, too?
I'll lock you in it for 35 minutes. Got to make sure it's done. Actually, the windshield's getting delivered today. It's got a crack in it and blah, 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 blah. But I'm sure it's going to always be a work in progress. But but yeah, reflecting on where we are today, you have to look at the past, right? And I know not everybody here is in the same position that we are, in our fitness journey. We're all in different stages. And it's important to recognize that, it's the same thing if you're listening, if you're from cybersecurity, and obviously, that's where I come from. Cybersecurity programs range in various levels of sophistication, maturity levels, adoption in the business, everything else. What's interesting about a cybersecurity program, though, to relate that back to fitness is that, a cybersecurity program cannot be successful unless you have the buy-in and adoption of the company and organization, and you have support, i.e. the key piece being support for that security program. There's so many people that I go into, their business, and they're just frustrated. They hate life because their business doesn't recognize the importance of cybersecurity. Maybe you have some asshole that's in your boss, or the organization just doesn't see the value, and they're there just from a compliance perspective. I'm a firm believer that if you are not happy in your job or life, you need to make changes immediately to go and change that. If you see no future in the ability to make an impact in the company that you're working for, or in your life, you need to make changes immediately. And I know it's a scary thing, as is starting a fitness journey. I was scared, terrified when I went with Ben. And I've said this before in the past, but Ben was probably my last ditch effort before I gave up, right? Before I gave up for good, on trying to focus on fitness. And thank God I picked the right one, because if I went with one of these other shitty ones that you see on there, could have been a complete disaster, and I just would have gave up and just said, fuck it, I'm done. Like I'm just going to be, skinny fat Dave or whatever the hell I was, for the rest of my life and not be healthy. But things like this are scary, whether it's, changing positions or jobs, whether it's going into confrontation, whether it's, something that you were doing in life that you just don't enjoy or don't like. Maybe it's in a relationship that you're in that isn't going good, but you're staying together just because it's convenient. These types of changes, big changes in your life, require a lot of effort and work for you to really fight your brain to focus on taking care of it. And your brain actually fights you on this, because your brain wants the easiest route out possible for anything. What's the easiest way without the most amount of energy, depression, and by the way, when you're in confrontation or you're in a negative situation, your brain interprets that as a threat. So you start to have chemicals that get released. You start to act differently. It impacts your mood. It impacts how you behave. All of these things change because you're in a negative situation all the time. And I think if you look at today, depression rates are up substantially, right? I mean, astronomical from 10 years ago, from 20 years ago. Suicide rates, astronomical. Young suicide rates in children, astronomical. It's not a good state. And you look at that and you say, well, why? Why are we seeing this right now? Because we have access to the most amount of food, electricity, shelter, anything else that we've seen before. But why are we so depressed? And the issue is that, our brains don't recognize the difference of living out in a forest versus living in a home where you have everything available. We create our own problems. And I'm not saying that depression isn't real. It 100% is, right? But our brains interpret negative things in our life the same way as they would a threat towards, a tiger or a bear or things like that. And so we have to look at that and say, well, how do I make changes in my life to be successful, to be positive? And that's one of the things that I have really focused on my entire life, which is surrounding myself with good people that I trust, people that know where my weaknesses are and feel comfortable, talking when I'm not, in my highest form or strength, and surrounding myself with positivity so that I'm not continuously barraged with all of the shit that's going on in the world. I don't watch the news. I barely watch TV. I watch like Star Trek and a couple other things, but I really don't watch much TV. I watch movies with my kids here and there because obviously that's fun. We just watched Spaceballs while we were on vacation. They actually loved it. I thought it was hilarious. But Something the Schwartz, such a good movie. But it was it's one of those things where I try to make changes in my life for the positive no matter what. And if that's a difficult decision, know that difficult decision is a point in time and that will go away and your life will be a lot better in the future because of that decision, right? If it's made in a manner to make things more positive. So if you're unhappy in your job, quit your job and move to a different one. Now, I know that sounds, like easier than it's said to done, but if you're in a job, start finding a job, find a place that appreciates you for what you're doing and respects you and wants you to be successful, because at the end of the day, that's going to make you happier. Same thing on this journey that I started with Ben. Was it 3 years ago?
Close to 3 years ago. Definitely 2.5.
Yeah. 3.5?
2.5.
2.5.
Definitely
okay,
2.5. Yeah.
Definitely 2.5. Bordering on
3.
3
I
years
think
ago.
3 in September. I think it was September.
Yeah. So we're getting close to that 3 year mark, which we have to do like a celebration or something.
Of course.
But I've talked about this story before in the past, but I was at a really low state. I'd had bariatric surgery, which shrunk my stomach. But after a while, what happens is your stomach starts to expand again because I never corrected my eating habits. I wasn't focusing on my health. So my weight went from like super obese to super bony skinny to where Erin was complaining that I had too many bones and she could see my ribs and everything else because I was essentially starving myself because I couldn't eat food, to continuously piling food into my stomach to where it expanded again and I was gaining weight again. And I couldn't control it. I couldn't figure out, why am I gaining weight? I'm trying to eat healthy. I'm like eating these salads that, have 1,000 calories in ranch dressing in it. And, I'm eating, these things here and I'm trying to work out. I'm, doing 25-pound deadlifts and I don't understand why I'm not, shredded. And, I had no direction. I didn't understand what the fuck I was doing. Right. And that's the key concept there, is I didn't know what I was doing. And like any profession or job or anything that you do in life, do you take a car, especially cars today? And if you know nothing about cars, do you feel comfortable completely tearing that car down to fix an issue?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. Right. That's a dumb idea. Right. Because you don't know anything about the car. However, if you wanted to become a mechanic and you wanted to learn about cars, maybe that's an option down the road as you learn more knowledge and you have experience. You work at an auto store. So these are the things that we have to look at from a fitness perspective, is that we don't know what the fuck we're doing, and we have to change that. And if you want to get better with it, you need to know what you're doing, but it doesn't need to be learned overnight. So starting with Ben, what was really great is I didn't know what I was doing, but Ben did. And he said, listen, here's a program that puts you into this box. Okay. It's a nice little neat box. And this box is made just for you. And if you do these things in the box, I will guarantee you success. And it's going to happen within 2 weeks. I'm just kidding. It's going to take some time to get there. Okay. So let's set your expectations. Let's look at this box that I've created for you. And if you do these things in the box, it's going to work. Consistency, repetition. That's all I'm asking for. I'm not asking for lifting 5 days a week. I'm asking for 2 days a week. I'm asking you to go outside and get some steps. I'm asking you to track your calories. Let's not even change calories. Just look at what you're eating so I can understand. Let's look at what you're doing from a day-to-day perspective. And let's change that as things go along. And, I bought into it and I went all in. I mean, I was all in. I read everything that Ben sent me. I read all of his documents, his PowerPoints. Got a lot more now out there. He's got a knowledge base, the mainframe. And then I started studying things that Ben was teaching me: total daily energy expenditures, macronutrients, protein centric diets, whole foods. What does that mean? Lifting, pieces like, why am I lifting 12 sets here or 3 sets here? What is hypertrophy? What are slow twitch and fast twitch fibers? What does all of this mean to my body? How does that, go into the overall program of what I'm doing? And, while all that might seem like a lot, it took time to get there, but it was making small changes that allowed me to start to implement these things over time. I wasn't a programmer, overnight. I didn't learn how to program Python in one day. Maybe hello world, print hello world, all set, but to write complex applications took, months, years, etc. of experience to be able to build the Social Engineer Toolkit and Magic Unicorn, everything I did from an open source perspective from a tool set. So these things require time, and, we want things immediately. But if you make it a priority, and this is the biggest advice I could ever give anybody, is if you make it a priority in your life, your brain will eventually accept it as a priority. And I was talking about how, we look at the Discord server and see, the snap of that happening. Your brain fights you with new things all the time. Why would it want to change? Listen, you're overweight, you have, plenty of energy. You have more energy than you're ever going to need. Your body's like, I'm good to go, man. This is great. Like I don't have to worry about, amping up my systems to go forage for food and fight things. I'm in a safe zone. I'm good to go. Let's keep doing whatever the fuck we're doing because we have unlimited energy, right? Whereas you're like, man, my cardiovascular stuff, I'm have really bad LDL, cholesterol. My ApoB is not good, and I'm having cardiovascular issues. And now, my body's getting taxed, and it's starting to fade. And now, I'm looking at an early death, maybe in my 40s or 50s or 60s. And I'm not just healthy. I have no energy because, again, I have unlimited energy. Why would I use any of it? Because I want to keep it. So, all of these things happen, because our bodies fight us, especially on the nutritional aspect of the house. Why not eat 1,000 calories? Why not eat 10,000 calories? It doesn't make a difference. I have more energy. So you have to look at this and say, well, how do I structure myself in something that allows me to fight my brain and to say, listen, brain, you're not in control anymore. I am. And I know I'm kind of talking to myself because like my brain is me and I'm telling me that I'm not in control, but I am in control. So, but you're telling the subconscious brain that, I'm the rational piece here. I know what I'm doing. We need to make a change. Now, when you first go to the gym, it's going to suck ass. Okay. You might be excited the first day, but believe me, that wears off really quick. You're going to hate it. You're going to hate it the first week, second week, third week, fourth week. Like, what the fuck am I doing? I want to get the hell out of here. This sucks. You're going to be eating, probably a little bit less calories, but I also want to focus on, if you diet too much, your body's going to shut down and you don't have enough energy. So you have to balance, having calories, building muscle, and as well as, dropping body fat. So it's a nice delicate balance there in harmony. But then eventually what happens, and I'll turn it over to Banks, I've been talking for like ever, but what eventually happens is you have this switch, and it's just this fire that ignites and it cannot be extinguished, which is, this is actually awesome. Like I'm actually starting to see progress. My son yesterday, I've been working out my 2 kids, and he was doing bicep curls. He's like, Dad, I can see my bicep here. Look at this. There's a muscle right there. I'm like, dude, I know. I see that. That's a good muscle. He's like, yeah. He's like, yeah, I'm doing some more, And then afterwards, he's like doing extra. And then he's playing basketball for like an hour outside, which he never does. And I was like, yeah, see, like, you start to see the success of the hard work you put in. And, I think people get all caught up on weight, the number on the weight scale. Weight's, just another data point. It doesn't make a difference. But, when you start to see physical transformation, whether it's, you're a little bit leaner in your stomach, or you start to see a little more definition in your shoulder, or you start to feel a little bit better as far as energy levels. Those are the things that start to say, well, this is possible. Like I'm actually making progress here, and it's not that bad. I'm not, destroying myself in the gym for 4 hours a day and eating 200 calories and, doing these things. This is manageable. I can do this. And your brain just switches and it's like, okay, I'm in. And then after that, it's just repetition and consistency and just improving over time, right?
Yeah, I think the one big piece from that towards the end of what you're saying there is that it's possible thing. And I think that is my favorite thing essentially about what I do is showing people what they're actually capable of, like doing things that you never thought were possible. Like you having a 6-pack, like I can't imagine, 5 years ago, however many years ago you thought that was actually possible. And yet here we are. Like, yes, it does take time and it is hard, but that's okay. Like hard things are good. The thing for me, and I have to to quote Jimmy, one of my former clients, the bit that you're talking about is the valley of sorrow. So you start and you're amped up and you're like, I've heard 10 people on Twitter talk about this. Dave talks about it. This is going to be the program that changed my life. And I see it with clients all the time. They're like, fuck yeah. And then 3 or 4 weeks in, they're like, fuck, this is hard. And I'm not necessarily seeing the results right away. And it's like 8 weeks in, they're like, whew, is this, they start questioning everything. Like, am I really going to have to do this forever? Like, they have to do my cardio today to do this. And then you get like 12, 14, 16 weeks in and you come out the other side of it and you're like, oh, I can see my body change. Like, this does work. It just takes time to actually physically see it. And then you get the piece of like, well, if I'm only doing 3 days a week and whatever, this amount of cardio and this amount of steps and this, like, what will I get if I do more? And then that's whenever you start to add other days in and you start to like, okay, well, if I'm sort of quote unquote getting away with these things, like if I really start to dial things in and tune things in, like what way will my body change? And that's where I feel like for me, that's where it becomes a little bit, I want to say addictive, but not in a bad way. I think it becomes a little bit of addictive, like, okay, well, like, what can I change here?
In a good way.
Yeah. I mean, if there's a thing that you want to be addicted to, I think that this is probably a good thing in the grand scheme of things. So yeah, I see it all the time, and then they get to like, okay, right, how can I do more? But there definitely is that struggle piece at the start, and it's a number of factors. It's like change your routine, change your habits, change your behaviors. Your body's going to fight that because it's used to doing those things. And the tweet I put out earlier on, it's like, it's not that I don't give a shit about what your goals are. My goals for anybody that I work with is to give them the tools and the knowledge that they can do this long beyond their time working together, and teach them the habits and the behaviors that they can continue to do forever. And I was talking to, I saw on Instagram, one of Matt's clients, a guy called Chris. He was ranting, which is fair, about challenges and like 6 weeks transformations and all these, like, how much weight can you lose in specific amount of time to win $1,000, which are fine to a point, but it doesn't give you enough time to build the habits and build the behaviors that will allow you to have success long term. And I think that that's what a lot of people struggle with, and potentially you in the past, of, okay, I can do this thing, it'll get me to here, but it hasn't taught me anything. I don't know anything about my body. I don't know really why I'm doing these things. I just know if I do it, I will lose 20 pounds and then it's good. But I know that I'll put 25 back on as soon as I stop doing it. So for me, it's about giving you the tools, the habits, the behaviors, and the identity around the person who trains, who manages their food, who is healthy, who has energy, like all of these things that we now talk about that seem so far away for a lot of people. But I think the biggest thing for it that people struggle with is the time that it actually takes. It's like the results that you think you'll get within 2 to 3 months will probably take you 2 to 3 years, which sucks, and I'm sorry, but that's the reality of it. And it comes back to that's the truth. And James actually said something to me yesterday, and it really hit home with me. He was like, we're talking about the time frames and stuff, and we were deciding whether I was going to push further into the surplus or push into a deficit and then sort of use the end of summer and then fall into that natural like surplus during the winter and deficit during the summer. Because I've always been in the opposite essentially. And he said something, he was like, giving your training age, it's much more difficult to build muscle now. And I was like, wow, you know how to hit a guy when he's down. It's like, so training age would always say like the amount of years that you've been training, not your actual age, but the amount of years that you've been training at a specific level. I'm like, motherfucker. I definitely could utilize some of those younger training years again.
Dude, I wish. Yeah.
But so essentially the time thing is a big one. And I think you need to be willing, 1, to do the work, 2, to commit, and 3, to put the time into it. And the thing that I always put it back to, it's like, if you're 100 pounds overweight, you didn't get 100 pounds overweight in 6 weeks. Do you know what I mean? It took you a lot of effort and a lot of fucking time to do that. And it's like, you need to do the things on the other side.
Yeah, they think, I look back and it's funny because I'm so happy about teaching my kids, this stuff, right? Because they have such an incredible journey ahead of them if they just adopt it and use it. And my kids are athletes, which is great. I never was.
Me either.
What's that?
Me either. I didn't start training until I was 27, I think.
Yeah.
26,
38 with me, 37. Obviously I was in the Marines and, we had, workout routines, things like that, but actually like lifting consistently, it's not. But, so when you look at the space of time, because you hit, hey, what do you think is going to take you a year is really going to take you 3 years or 4 years or longer. it's true. When I look at my progress, though, it's interesting because, I think when you start to see the changes in your body, regardless of what they are, yes, it's not fast enough, but you start to see those and you're like, it's working. And it's just a validation that it's working and that you're chipping away at years and years and years of neglect of your body. That is success. And, I kind of had to put myself into that perspective of, well, I don't know where this is going to take me, but I'm having success. So I'm getting better every day, and, monthly I can see changes, right? 4 months, I can definitely see changes. 6 months, I can definitely see changes. A year, I can 100% see changes. So, set your expectations of instead of looking at it from like, what's the perfect physique you want? Because first of all, you're never going to be happy where you're at. Like, it's just
even you right now, like you're in the
God.
best shape you've ever been in, but you're like, what's next?
I'm fucking pissed I'm not bigger, like let's go. What's going on here?
The thing about saying like, you not necessarily knowing where it's going to take you, that sort of makes me think about a comment that Alex Hormozi says, and he talks about it in business, but it's like being directionally correct. You don't need to know specifically where you're going, but at least go in the right direction of the things that are going to get you to where it is you want to be.
Well, and I think it's always important, again, we've mentioned this before on the podcast, but it's so important to state that it is taking you years and years and years and years and years of neglecting your body. It takes you years to remove that, right? But you will start to see almost instantaneous benefits, energy-wise, health-wise, blood work-wise, and everything else. Your body reacts extremely fast to repairing itself to be able to help you get to those goals, okay? But the fat loss part, the muscle building part is so damn slow. Like, seriously, could we have like given us a little bit more, could it have been like a couple pounds more, a month that we could put on, seriously. But, at the end of the day, if you're making progress, that's all that matters. And, we always talk about, stronger than yesterday, right? And that's the most important piece about this is, did you do the right things consistency wise to make yourself stronger than yesterday? And, Ben had mentioned, and I talk about this all the time, like this morning is a good example. I went to Orange Theory this morning. I woke up at 7:00, which is, a little bit later than I normally do. I did the 8:15 class. And a lot of times I'll do like the 6:45 or, earlier. But I woke up this morning and it wasn't a thought of whether or not I'm going. It was a thought of, oh, it's 7:00. It's time to start my day. Let me go get my medicine. Like I take my pills, my 7,000 fucking supplements, that I only need like one really, but again, keep adding stupid stuff. I got to shape back down again. But anyways, go get my pre-workout, go with Erin, my wife. I make her a pre-workout. Both of us are drinking our pre-workouts in the morning. We go to go to Orange Theory. We knock it out. We come back. I take a shower and I'm ready to start the day. So that's my morning. Like I don't have a choice. Like it's just my day, right? I wake up, I go and I do it, and I go and I do my workout. Last night, yesterday was Tuesday. And I had to go to an offsite meeting with a bunch of CEOs that I work with that we, have a peer group that we meet once a month just to talk about business stuff and what we're doing and any issues that we have. And, so I didn't get my lift in the morning because it was like kind of far away, super early, et cetera. And it's just normally I'm like, okay, I get home. I'm like, okay, I got an hour and a half. Let's go do it. So I go in and knock out my legs. Right. So, it's just I had to get it done that day. So I knew I was going to get it done in the afternoon. Good to go. Again, routine, consistency. If you do those things all the time, you will be successful at it. And one thing I want to hit on too on clean eating, and you can feel free to disagree with me on this, but I watched a lot of Dr. Layne.
We did overrated, underrated.
Yes, but I also went down to a lot of his videos because I wanted to understand more. And you always see these videos of bodybuilders and all these people, and all they eat is chicken and rice and broccoli, chicken rice, broccoli, chicken rice, broccoli all day long, morning, afternoon, snack. You see this clean eating piece here. And, Dr. Layne really changed his opinion recently based off a lot of the studies are coming with. And everybody will say that the reason why we're obese is because of our sugar intake. And that turns out to be mostly bullshit. Yes, is it great if you eat a whole bunch of sugar without other things like, fats and proteins? Probably not. It's going to, increase your insulin resistance, which isn't a great thing, right? And then you can obviously get into diabetes and things like that. But if you're pounding, 4,000 calories of sugar, well, that's horrible in excess, right? But if you're eating sugar here and there, that's not a big deal. If you're going to have some ice cream with your family, okay, cool. So I don't attest, and I really never have, to the clean eating cycle of House. You've always been focused on macros. Now you say, hey, try to get 70-80% of whole foods, which I fully agree with, because that'll help you feel fuller. It makes sense. Feel fuller for longer because you're eating, single ingredient foods like chicken and beef and steak and all that good stuff, to make yourself feel fuller. But at the end of the day, if I literally, ate, 1,500 calories of sugar, I could drop weight and lose weight. Now, again, is that healthy? No. But the clean eating thing is completely overrated. If you're focusing on your protein goals, and that's my number one goal, right? Make sure I get 240 grams of protein a day. And then after that, I can give two shits about what else my rest of my food is. Don't care. But I do try to optimize carbohydrates so that I have energy consistently, throughout the day. And I try to keep it on complex carbohydrates so that I don't see that massive shoot and spike. And what I also find is that coupling complex carbohydrates with either proteins or fats allows me to have a cleaner burn down the road with the amount of energy based on the continual glucose monitor that I was wearing. So basically it'll start to increase a little bit on energy production and consistently go through versus this. If you spike up your sugar, your insulin levels, what your body does is it sends, your glucose, your sugar, your body sends a shitload of insulin into your bloodstream to remove that sugar. So you see the shoot and then you see the drop immediately, of those actually happening. And, it's not good. You don't feel great when that type of crash happens. So, again, when it comes to eating and nutrition, focus on your macros, focus on your calories, focus on making small changes. So slight deficit, slight surplus of a few hundred calories, drop another 100 if you're not losing the 1 to 2 pounds a week that you're looking for. But at the end of the day, eat what you want to in moderation. I can go and have a pizza. It's funny because I was at this retreat in Napa with our customers last week. And, someone came to me and was like, dude, you're looking absolutely fantastic. Oh my gosh, you're huge, you're big, blah, blah, blah. What do you eat all day long? I'm like, I don't know, whatever I want. He's like, wait, what? I'm like, yeah.
I always find it funny whenever you're at a place and they're like, a buffet and it has pizza or cake and everyone assumes because you're in cheap, oh, you'll not be having any of that. I'm like, get it on. I'm in for it. Do you know what I mean? I will. It's like they have this expectation that you live this life that you don't eat anything. But the point you were saying about focusing on protein, again, I'll talk about Alex Mosaic. He always talks about his main focus whenever it comes to food is hitting his protein target throughout the day. He doesn't really give a shit about anything else, and he will always have dessert. So he has a hashtag on Instagram, never skip dessert. And genuinely, this dude is jacked, shredded, and every day eats a dessert, chocolate cake, ice cream, whatever it is, because he focuses on the basics in terms of his protein. And then wherever the rest of his food comes, he gets it from whatever sources, and then obviously gets dessert every day. And the dude is absolutely jacked.
It doesn't matter. Now, again, if you're, pre-diabetic or diabetic, having a shit ton of sugar probably isn't great for you, right? You got to look at the overall health consistency of what you're eating. But I mean, if I want to eat just protein shakes with zero sugar and get 240 calories, and then I want to eat the rest in Pop-Tarts, I'm gonna be fine, Now, again, I don't recommend that, but
I think I might have
some multivitamin deficiencies, some micronutrient deficiencies there. But at the end of the day, you will lose weight. It's going to work. It's calories in versus calories out, people. It's not intermittent fasting. It's not keto. It's not any of this other stuff. It's literally how much stuff you're putting into your body and how much stuff you burn based on thermogenics. That is it. There is no other debate. There's nothing else out there. It doesn't matter what people say or what the fucking fat is. It's calories in versus calories out.
I think
that's it.
I think an important piece, and I spoke about this earlier on, is yes, while I will always say you can have and eat whatever you want as long as you can moderate it, the thing that I personally have really become in tune with is how those things actually make me feel. So do I love burgers? Absolutely. Do I love pizza? Absolutely. Do I love ice cream? Absolutely. But how do those things make me feel, and is it worth it? So again, it comes back to the alcohol conversation that we've had before. Do you know what I mean? I enjoy drinking in terms of I enjoy the process of how people make cocktails, how they put flavors together. I enjoy that whole process. I don't enjoy getting absolutely shit-faced anymore because to me it's not worth it for the however many days after that I have to deal with it. The same thing with nutrition. Do I feel good when I eat good quality, clean, whole foods? Yes, absolutely. Can you make it delicious? Absolutely. Can I eat whatever I want within moderation? Yes, absolutely. But there are certain things that make me feel like shit. And you need to be either okay with that or not. You can avoid them and not feel like shit, and that's okay. I find that the biggest impact that it has on me is, number one, my ability to think and actually focus, and number two, my ability to actually perform in the gym. And if I can't do either of those well, that pisses me off. So to me, that means that the thing that makes me not perform at that level is not actually worth it. So it's balancing those things up. And it's like, it's almost like, part of the reason why I say it is because if I tell you you can't have something, you will sure as shit want it. Like you with wheat thins, the fucking CGM told you can't have wheat thins because it really fucks up your blood glucose levels, but you want them because you can't have them. If I told you can't eat broccoli, you're going to be like dreaming and fantasizing about broccoli. So if I tell you can have all the things that you want, fucking donuts, cheesecake, pizza, burgers, whatever it is, if you have the ability to have those, yes, you will have them, but you'll get to the like take it or leave it stage where you're like, okay, I can have it. Like if I want it now, I can have it. But you know what? It'll make me feel like shit. I'll just have whatever's going to make me feel better, and know that burgers are never going to go away, and you can have one the next week or the next month or whenever it is.
Yep. Yeah, and it's that ability to say it's okay, for me to eat something that I want to, knowing how I'm going to feel. And I also, that was one of the hardest things I think for me to figure out was the types of foods that made me feel good and feel bad, because I have such a wide array of things that I eat on a regular basis, and it's a matter of selecting those that produce what I need it to be when I ate certain things that I could produce while working out.
Do you know what makes me feel the best? Like my best feel good food.
You and me hugging?
No, my best
food. Sorry, you said food. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, never mind.
My best feel good food. What makes me feel the best? Like I know if I eat this specific food every single
Cocoa Puffs?
No, it is a good food. It's more of a comfort food. My best feel good food, if I know I consume it in a day, I will feel good.
What's that?
Avocados.
All right, everybody, welcome. Have a great podcast. We'll talk to you later. We're canceling this podcast in the future. No, honestly, dude, I understand. Like it's such a great mixture of a lot of different things, and avocados are amazing. It's just I think it's a texture thing. I just don't like it. But anyways, for me, my number one thing is that makes me feel good.
Wheat thins.
Wheat thins. They make me feel good at this time, but afterwards not so good, right? And I can actually notice when I'm on wheat thins, like I don't.
When I'm on wheat thins, you're talking about like it's smoking crack.
It is like a drug. It is like crack. It is like I'm pretty sure that it's.
Whenever I hit the wheat thins, like
when I hit the wheat thins, man, things just get out of hand. It's crazy. Well, then I'll be like, man, I just fucking polished off like a half a box of that. Seriously, like what's wrong with me? But for me. And this is going to sound so stupid, but it's chicken and rice.
I was thinking whenever you were talking about
brown rice and chicken,
whenever you were talking
I could
about
eat that shit all day long, and I don't care. I love chicken and rice. And I'm not doing that because it's a clean eating thing. I just love chicken and rice. Throw some soy sauce in there, some seasoning, a little bit of sriracha, man. I'm cooking. That stuff is amazing. Throw a little bit extra broccoli in there. And by the way, I had the most amazing broccoli when I was at this place in Napa. I got to figure out how to do it. I'm pretty sure it was all like soaked in butter for 70 days and then soaked more in butter. And then they put a whole bunch of salt over it and then soaked it in more butter and then salted it.
Well, how do you make things delicious? Add butter and salt. Easy.
Right. Butter and salt. That's it.
Whenever you were saying that about clean eating and about, the bodybuilders and chicken, broccoli and rice, like I enjoy chicken, broccoli and rice. I don't push it down everybody's face and telling everybody they have to eat it. But I think when you can actually cook and understand how to cook and flavors, anything can be delicious. And I remember I can actually see it in my head. There used to be a girl coach in Gymco when I worked there, and we were sitting, obviously living the top word, I was sitting in the reception in the gym, and she was eating this chicken, right? And it was the most bland, boring, vanilla, beige colored meal I've ever seen in my life. And it was literally a boiled chicken breast, not even cut up, and some rice. And I was like, there are definitely two types of people who can cook and not cook. I can cook, and I imagine the same with you. I can cook chicken, broccoli, and rice, and it is delicious. I made it whenever we were at the Munich event. Everyone's like, just make chicken, broccoli, and rice. And I mean, for me, it was delicious. They might have thought something different,
awesome.
but if you understand how to cook, you can make these things delicious. And I think, chicken, if you understand seasoning and flavors, can be versatile every single day. So wild chicken, broccoli, and rice gets a lot of hate for being like bro and bodybuilder and eating clean and whatever else. Like, I actually do enjoy it, and it's something that I enjoy. And as soon as we're on the podcast, I'm going to go eat some chicken, broccoli, and rice.
Sounds good. I got some sushi sitting here and some chicken and rice sitting here. So that's my lunch. But it's interesting. Obviously I love a good steak that's completely doused in
butter and salt.
Butter and salt. No, blue cheese. Yes, bake the blue cheese on there. What's funny is, every time I eat, even when I'm not counting calories for that day, which I know I said I would always do for the rest of my life, but there are times where I just ham out about, I'm not going to count calories. I'm good. I feel comfortable in that. But I'm always focused on what I'm eating and how I'm eating it. Right. So I look at, my meal. I went to this fine Italian place for our board meeting. It was like a super nice, steak Italian place. And, all these pastas and breads and all this other stuff. And, when the bread came out, I looked over there. There's a whole wheat bread. I grab a whole wheat bread, put a bunch of butter and salt on there. I do butter and salt on all my bread. I love salt on the bread. It's so good. It's a game changer. I eat that. And then I'm looking at the menu, and what I focus on is, how do I get my protein goals? Right. So I'm like, well, I think I'm pretty hungry. I'll get a 12-ounce steak, filet, and, I'll throw some asparagus on there, some broccoli, and, maybe I'll grab a soup too if I'm really hungry, but it's not going to be anything. I'm not going to grab the potatoes or the stuff that I just don't need, because I know I'm not going to feel great with that. I'm not going to get the, cheesy potato, au gratin potatoes or whatever the heck it is. And also there's stuff that I know is like 1,000 calories that I just don't need. So I'm always conscious of how I'm eating. And even at the Napa event, I had their food and they brought out this crumble, and I'm like, I'm gauging this probably around 600-700 calories. I'm good. I'm going to eat it because it looks good. It's crumble because I can't resist crumble.
I think so. I now have a rule with dessert. And it's not that I'm against other desserts, but I always like to get a starter and a main course whenever I'm out, because I guess I like savory more than sweet, maybe. I don't really know. But I like a variation of different foods. So I always get a starter and a main course. And when it comes to dessert, my rule is if they have like a lemon something, so I prefer like the citrus over like a chocolate. Like, I'm not really into like chocolate cake or like sticky toffee pudding or anything like that. Yeah, so if they have a lemon tart or a lemon meringue or something citrus dessert, I will get it every single time. But if they don't, then I'll eat dessert. And I've stuck with that rule quite well. So yeah, just a total side note on dessert. Sorry, back to the creme brulee story.
Yeah, no, it's good. So my rule of thumb is I actually don't like pretty much any dessert, to be honest with you. I'm not big on. The one time we did cheesecake, which is fine, but like.
It was 1,900 calories.
It was 1,900 calories. It was 1,900 calories that day. It was awesome.
And we were already just full.
The cheesecake. Yeah. We were already full from. I think we ate Skyline, right? We had Skyline first, which
1,900
calories.
It was cheese with a chili hot dog underneath.
Yeah. And it was, but for me, I don't care about like tiramisu or chocolate cake or whatever, but creme brulee gets me. Like, that's my favorite. And I was like trying creme brulee. So if I see, and what's nice is it's kind of a small dish. It's custard with sugar on top. So, from a caloric intake perspective, it's not outrageous, but, it's not something obviously I'm going to eat every day. But if they do have creme brulee, I typically will eat that as long as it fits within my macro counts. But again, going back to what we talked about and kind of wrapping this up, progress is slow, but to get to this point where I'm at today is not where I'm going to be next year or the year after, which is awesome, right? And I'm sure you can find a podcast literally from a year ago saying, I'm so happy with where I'm at progress-wise a year ago. I can't believe where I'm going to be in another year. And I'm in another year. I'm like, holy shit, I got a 6-pack. Like
where am I going to be next year?
Wasn't even trying. I wasn't even trying for a 6-pack, and just kind of blah, it's there. And I was like, damn, one day. But it's that progress that I think makes such a huge difference. And people always rely on the scale, and you can't rely on that scale. Like, I'm 222 right now. When I started with you, Ben, I was 217, I want to say.
I would say 212.
212? Yeah. So I'm heavier than I was before. And I look completely different from a transformation perspective. I have a 6-pack. I just want to throw it out there. If anybody hear that, I have a 6-pack. I obviously was able to strip all of the body fat, which, at the end of the day was probably a solid 20 pounds in body fat alone. And, being able to add muscle mass slowly but surely And again, slowly but surely is how this works. You're going to gain maybe a pound or two of muscle mass a month. That's it. That's all you got. That's all your body gives you. And you have to look at that and say, okay, well, that's going to take a long time to put on the muscle mass that I need to, but I'm damn proud of it because it's taken me, 1 or 2 pounds a month for 3 years almost to get to the point that I'm at today. But again, 222, from 212.
First check-in, what about this for knowledge? 123 check-ins ago, 212.6 pounds on the average.
Wow. You remember that better than I did. That's crazy. That's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, 212 pounds versus 222 today. So it's only a 10-pound difference of where I was 3 years ago to today, but a complete body transformation in every regard. So it doesn't mean I'm 260, 250, 240. It means literally a 10-pound difference from there. And it's been incredible. So, to everybody, it's possible. It's possible if you commit. It's possible if you stay with consistency. I can't emphasize enough that not giving your brain a choice to say no and staying consistent with it is how you are successful with this or anything in life that you're doing, right? Staying consistent, small chunks, get it started. You're going to be successful at it.
And I think that's the thing, is the thing that you can learn, the discipline you can learn, the progress that you can learn, the small changes that you can learn from taking control of your health and fitness in that journey is transferable to everything else. And that is the one thing that I'll always say it give me. Like, I wasn't disciplined before. I wasn't as confident before. I wasn't as in control of things before I started training. But all those things that I learned from managing my training, managing my nutrition, and the progress that it gave me allowed me to filter those things into every other aspect of your life. So when I say taking control of your health and your well-being and your fitness can literally change your life, it can literally change every aspect of your life.
Yep. It has. I mean, from energy to how I am as a father, to a husband, to what I do in my work, my mental clarity, my ability to get things done, just how I feel in general, just positivity, all of that I can equate back to my fitness journey. So if you're looking for a change, you got this. And if you're already in the process of doing this change,
keep fucking going.
Good fucking going. I mean, you're better than 95% of the rest of the population with the consistency, right?
One thing I'll finish on, and I admit that I didn't tell you this yet, and this is like what, maybe I did tell you, this is like what you get from training. Matt and I think I maybe did tell you, and I'm starting to say the story, but anyway, we're in Universal Studios, did have a day, we had the fast track pass, and we were like, we'll give these to somebody coming out. Like we did the Dave, I'm finished with these so somebody else can benefit from them. So we had the two fast track passes and we looking down, and this dude was walking towards us and he was jacked and like tight t-shirt, like obviously lifted. I was like, Matt and I both looked, like, he's the guy. So when you lift and you're in the like the unsaid, unspoken brotherhood or sisterhood of people who lift, you get the benefits of things like that.
100%, dude. If there's a guy that's jacked walking past, I immediately have a connection with that person and know that
respect.
Most likely a good person. Respect. Yeah. It's respect. Like, you busted your ass. Congratulations, because that's a fucking lot of work to do. Yeah. So, yeah, congratulations to everybody that has made that mind switch. And if you're just getting there, I can't wait to say congratulations to you as well. So appreciate you all listening to us this week on the podcast. Obviously, it was a fun one. I enjoyed this one quite a bit. And we'll be back at you next week to talk about the rest of the Jacko program, right?
Yep.
And then then we got Colorado coming up here soon and a bunch of others, but a lot of cool updates, and I can't wait for the changes in the podcast coming soon. And from that, share us, We Hack Health on all of the different social medias. Hit us up on Discord, free community, share your experiences, struggles, motivation, questions. We're here to help. That's what we're here for. And that's the only reason why we do this. So thank you all so much. We'll catch you all next week.
See you next week.